The village of Harmonia was a symphony of life, each resident playing their part in the melody that wove through the cobblestone streets. Piper, with her lute slung across her back, was no different. Her fingers danced over the strings, conjuring a gentle breeze that whispered of change. It was during the festival of joy, when the air was thick with harmonies, that the old scroll found its way into Piper's hands. The parchment was frayed, the notes barely legible, but the melody it held was clear and haunting, a song of shifting seasons, a song of power. And so, with the first notes still lingering in the air, Piper's journey began. She left behind the familiar streets of Harmonia, venturing into lands she had only dreamed of. The forests were alive with the sound of rustling leaves and the songs of woodland creatures. The mountains echoed with the cries of wind and the tinkling of distant ice. And the plains, well, the plains seemed to hum with the music of the earth itself. Piper soon discovered that each land had its own unique musical language, and to navigate them she would need to learn their songs. In the forests she learned the melody of the trees, and with it she could make them part to let her pass. In the mountains she mastered the song of the wind, and it became her steed, carrying her across treacherous passes. And in the plains she uncovered the secret of the earth song, which allowed her to communicate with the creatures that dwelled beneath the soil. But as she journeyed ever closer to the heart of the realm, she began to sense that something was amiss. The music that once had been so vibrant and alive now felt hollow and forced. She heard whispers of a dark power that sought to twist the music for its own nefarious purposes, and she knew that she must act swiftly if she were to save the land from eternal winter. Piper ventured deeper into the realm, following the thread of the ancient melody that seemed to guide her steps. She crossed paths with other travelers, each with their own tales of woe and wonder, and each with a song to share. Some warned her of the dangers ahead, while others offered their aid in her quest. But Piper knew that she could trust no one fully, for the darkness had already begun to seep into the hearts of even the most loyal of subjects. The sun set on another day of travel, and Piper found herself standing before a great tower of gleaming black stone. It rose up into the night sky, its windows glowing with a sinister crimson light. She steeled herself, took a deep breath, and began to play the ancient melody upon her lute, the notes ringing out through the air and piercing the very heart of the tower. The music echoed back, distorted and twisted, as if it were being warped by some dark and malevolent force. But Piper did not waver. She played on, her fingers a blur of motion as she wove the melody back into its true form. The tower trembled, and the ground beneath her feet began to shake. A figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in darkness, its features hidden from view. It raised its arms, and the air around Piper seemed to crackle with power. "You dare to challenge me?" it hissed, its voice a chilling whisper. "You foolish girl. You have no idea what you are dealing with." Piper drew herself up to her full height, meeting the unseen figure's gaze defiantly. "I know that you are not the master of this music," she replied, her voice steady and true. "I know that you cannot stop the song from playing." And with those words she began to play once more, louder than ever before, her music ringing out across the land, a beacon of hope in the face of darkness. As she played, the tower crumbled, its foundations shattered by the sheer force of her music. The cloaked figure, defeated, vanished into the night, leaving behind only a faint whisper of wind and the lingering scent of sorcery. And as the last notes of the ancient melody faded away, Piper knew that she had saved the realm, and that the seasons would once again dance to the tune of harmony and beauty. The morning sun rose on a transformed landscape, the trees green and lush, the flowers blooming once more. The creatures of the forest and the plains rejoiced, their songs of thanksgiving filling the air. Piper, weary from her journey but heartened by the knowledge that she had saved so many, continued on, traveling from village to village, sharing her music and her story, bringing hope and joy to all who heard her. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Piper began to sense that something was still amiss. The people, though grateful, seemed somehow distant, as if they were still struggling to come to terms with the changes she had wrought. And deep in her heart, she knew that the darkness might not be truly vanquished yet. One evening, as she sat by a crackling fire in a small tavern, she overheard a group of travelers whispering of a gathering storm, of strange creatures prowling the borderlands, and of a shadowy figure that lurked in the depths of the forest, spreading rumors of a new threat. Piper's heart sank, for she knew that this could only mean one thing: the darkness had taken root elsewhere, and it would be up to her to seek it out and destroy it once and for all. With a heavy heart, she bid farewell to the tavern keeper and set off once more, her lute slung over her shoulder. As she walked, the melody of the song guided her steps, leading her deeper into the heart of the realm, to where the darkness still lingered. And as she journeyed, she vowed that she would not rest until the last vestiges of the dark power had been banished forever, and the land could finally know peace. Days turned into weeks, and still she wandered, her eyes ever watchful for any sign of the malevolent force that sought to destroy all that she held dear. The terrain grew increasingly treacherous, the air thick with the threat of danger at every turn. But Piper pressed on, her determination unwavering, for she knew that the fate of the realm depended upon her. One afternoon, as she followed the course of a rushing river, she heard a faint, haunting melody drifting on the wind. It was the same tune she had heard the dark figure humming during their confrontation at the tower. Her blood ran cold, for she knew that she was drawing closer to the source of the darkness. Cautiously she edged forward, the foliage parting to reveal a clearing ahead. At its center stood a tower, its walls veined with shadows, its spire reaching up toward the clouds like a clawed hand grasping for the heavens. The air around it was thick with malevolence, and Piper could feel the weight of the darkness pressing down upon her. But she steeled her resolve, taking a deep breath before beginning her ascent. As she climbed, the air grew colder, the stones slicker with a viscous, unnatural substance. The shadows seemed to crawl across the walls, taking shape before her eyes, twisting into the forms of monstrous creatures that hissed and snarled at her as she passed. But Piper paid them no mind, focusing instead on her goal, the figure she knew must be waiting at the top of the tower. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, she reached the top, the wind whipping her hair about her face as she surveyed the desolate landscape stretching out below. There, in the center of the tower's roof, stood the dark figure, its cloak billowing in the wind. It turned to face her, its features twisted into a malevolent grin. "You have done well, my dear," it hissed. "But it is too late. The realm is already mine." Piper drew her lute, preparing to play. "Then you are mistaken," she replied, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "For I am the master of this music." With those words, she began to play, her fingers dancing across the strings with a skill and grace that belied her youth. The air around her seemed to shimmer with power, and the tower trembled on its foundations. The dark figure sneered, lifting its arms to summon the shadows to its aid. But Piper did not falter. She played on, her music weaving a counterspell, a song of hope and beauty that pierced the darkness like a shaft of sunlight. The figure wavered, and then it was gone, vanished into the mist from whence it came. As the last notes of her song faded away, the tower crumbled, its foundation shattered, and the realm was freed from the grip of darkness. And as Piper stepped out onto the broken remains of the tower, she knew that her journey was not yet over. For there would always be new threats, new shadows that sought to steal away the light. But she had learned that she was not alone. She had the strength of her music, and the love and support of the people she had saved. And with that knowledge, she turned her steps back toward the world, ready to face whatever came next, secure in the knowledge that she would always have a home in the hearts of those who heard her play. As she walked, the wind rustled the leaves of the trees, carrying with it the soft whispers of the river and the distant calls of animals in the forest. The sun cast dappled shadows across her path, dancing in time to the music that only she could hear. She knew that the darkness would always be there, lurking at the edges of the world, waiting for an opportunity to strike. But she also knew that she would always be there to meet it, her lute in hand and her music at her side, ready to fight for the light. And so Piper continued on her journey, a journey without end, but filled with purpose and hope. She would travel the length and breadth of the realm, spreading her music, touching the hearts of those she met, and binding them together in a web of love and understanding that would be strong enough to withstand even the darkest of storms. For she was more than just a girl with a lute. She was the guardian of the music, the champion of the light, and the beating heart of a world that had been brought back from the brink of eternal darkness. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories, give us a like if you want to see more, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts.